Welcome back to another episode of SportsCraft. Today we're going to be talking about court designs in NBA 2K17. And I'm going to use one of the high schools that I've actually created for my NBA GM series. Again, I apologize for that episode being shorter than what I really intended it to be, but I was out on a conference all last week, which really kind of tied me up, and I wanted to at least get something out to you since I had played the first 4 games in the month of October. So in the next episode, it'll definitely be a lot more in-depth, more coverage of the games themselves, and covering the whole month of November. So there's no need to worry. The whole series isn't going to be short and abrupt like that. But I did also create high schools, which took up a little bit of my time as well. So today, I'm going to demonstrate court design by using one of the fictional high schools that I created called Coronado High, which is based off of Coronado, California. So Coronado, I've made their team logo the Red Devils. And so all I'm going to do here is I have some images that I already imported. I messed around in Photoshop with the Arizona Sun Devils logo and just kind of did some manipulation there. So I'm going to use a small version of it because I still wanted to give a high school feel. Like, I feel like if it was larger, that would give more of a college feel. So I went just a little softer and smaller on the trident. And then I'm also going to add just a few things here to kind of nicely spruce it up a bit and give the court some foundation. So on the top, I'm going to include the team's name logo, so for the font for their team. And then on the bottom, I'm going to actually give it the court name, which is called the Devil's Rock. And it'll be like right there on the bottom right. So you have pretty much the court name and then the team logo name up top to give it that nice kind of not quite NBA-ish feel, but somewhere between like college and high school. Now, there's nothing you're going to be able to do about the stands themselves because they don't have like a high school gym feel, so you're just gonna have to live with the fact that the high schools that I'm playing at apparently seat 15,000 people. But once you have that all set up, like I said, you pretty much have your foundation for the court, and from here is what you should be pretty much basing off all your colors from and how you want to lay out the court. So since I have a giant red trident in the middle, I want to contrast that in the details of this court with some black. So, if you contrast black to red and you get the more dominant color out on the apron, it'll make the center pop out a little bit more. So we're going to go with a black apron to kind of give that nice kind of devilish dark feel. Then as we go and we work inside the keys here, so inside the free throw line and then pretty much the restricted area, we're gonna go red. So again, you get that nice contrast. It starts to pull together. You see the black apron, the red key, and then I'm also gonna make the lines around the perimeter, so the 3-point line and all the other lines that kind of go around it black, so that they kind of contrast off of each other. So you're essentially seeing black, red, black, red. Now, I'm going for the high school, college kind of lanes where they're a little smaller. I guess college and high school are both a little smaller. So in order to kind of imitate that, this is a little hard to do, but I kind of learned it from the NBA 2K the NCAA 2K17, if you will, court designs. And essentially what he does is that he goes ahead and makes a kind of like light brownish color or whatever color the court is and tries to get something to match it and makes that the line's color so that it doesn't really appear to be there. You kind of have to play around with it depending on what color court you do. So make sure that you kind of work something in until you get it like just about right. You can't actually get rid of the line itself. You have to do this if you want to have that feel for your court. And then, once you have that, I mean, that's pretty much the court setup. It's nice and simple. Even if you wanted to do a nice professional style off of this would be something very, very simple and easy to do. Most NBA teams, most college teams, this is how they set up their court. They usually take whatever is their primary color and then set it on the apron, and then have everything else kind of fall in place from it with the logo in the center. I mean, it'd be kind of weird if the Knicks is well, the Knicks main color is blue. It'd be weird if their apron was like bright orange. It would just in the way that that contrasts with the court as well, because the court is like a brownish kind of color. It'd be weird. So you usually go with the darker color on the outside, or the primary color, which is a blue. And just kind of let everything around it flow and look nice. So yeah, that's pretty much court details. I can show you a few other different designs. It doesn't always have to be black. You can go ahead and do like a brighter color. So if a team has a brighter color, you can go and design around that sort of color scheme. Like you'll see Lincoln High here in a little bit, who has a navy blue, sky blue, red, and white color scheme. So of course, their court looks a little bit more fun and pops a little bit more, but it gives you a different feel. If you want to go for a more vibrant feel, this is what you would do. And if you want to go for a more contrasting or darker feel, I would do something with like the Devil's Court design. And that's part one of this video. There's a second part of this. I probably should have explained this in the beginning. But the second part that I wanted to jump into here is the teams that I've created. As I said, I wanted to create levels in my MyGM series where there's high school, there's college, and then there's NBA, so that it gives you something to look forward to by the time you get to year 2. And it's not just going to end at year 2. You're still going to be hearing about high school players in year 2. I guess from 2 years later, and you know who's the big star from the senior class. I mean, that's something that we get in actual life. You know, we hear about guys like Markelle Fultz and Harry Giles, and I'm trying to think, De'Aaron Fox. Those guys who are supposed to be like, you know, the next big star or the next big phenom once they get to college, and then kind of track their college progress, because I do have to scout college this year for the upcoming draft. Now you kind of get to see all of that in one series. So I've kind of wanted to put that all together and at least give these guys schools so that you can see them in high school and then kind of see how they play in college and how they work, and then what they actually become in the NBA to give you the full, a full flowing experience. And to kind of show you the difference between jersey designs here for some of the high school teams. And this is something that you can take when you're making your own jerseys as well. You know, I did one earlier with a basic, like, took Townsend's logo and made a Tigers jersey from it. There's way more that you can do. If you can go into Photoshop and just make simple shapes like rectangles and whatever, there's so many different designs that you can do. For instance, I have the King George Pirates is what I named them. They're in Maryland. Essentially all I did was I took rectangle designs and I made them either long or I would make them really short to kind of give like a nice like pattern, and kind of like how UConn's paneling works a little bit. But what I did was that I added a little accent inside of the panels so that it gives like that pirate bandana feel. If you look close enough, I'll actually post up the actual graphic here so that you can see all the lines and inner working in them. Some jerseys have that, especially at the college level. They have like designs usually on the back of the uniform that like are like slight and opaque. If you do like, for instance, if the jersey is white and you do kind of like a very, very light gray, you can pretty much recreate that like pattern design on the back of the jersey. So it's something to you know kind of keep in mind when you're creating and trying to get really, really advanced with stuff. Same thing with the Lincoln jersey. Essentially what I did, Lincoln High School is based in California. That's where I put them. I was thinking, I know there's a Lincoln High School in the Bronx or Brooklyn. It's somewhere in New York. But I was thinking like, you know, I need a school with like a presidential name. Lincoln High. That sounds cool. Let's throw it in California. They have a navy blue stripe on the bottom of both of their jerseys, the sky blue ones and the white ones. And then essentially what I did was that I took the rectangle that goes along the bottom, and then I just divided it in two, so that on the front part of the jersey you see the navy blue and either white or red, I believe, and then on the back you see the navy blue and the red or white. So the colors actually flip. depending on what side of the jersey you're looking at. And I thought that was like a cool little feature to add of them. You can go with very kind of nice and basic designs depending on what kind of school you're trying to get. So for instance, I have Sacred Heart Preparatory School. I created a custom logo for them, and to make them kind of stand out, I put their actual the badge right on their jersey. So you always see that badge on the I believe it's the top left of their, or the top right of their jerseys, and then just gave them a nice simple design that I could create in NBA 2K without doing any Photoshop whatsoever. And they come out looking like these nice, clean, standard looking high school uniforms, but they look like they would fit into any high school. They just look, you know, a little bit more spruced up, but not nearly like not nearly as designed or as fancy as like Lincoln High School or King George, or even Coronado for that instance. I actually have a panel where the trident for Coronado kind of flares up from the bottom and has like a black stripe going with it, and then it just kind of fades up with so it'll go like black, red, white for the home uniforms, and it'll go black, white, red, I think, or something like that. I think the panels actually stay the same, but essentially it's just supposed to flow into the uniform. So you know, you play around with it a little bit and you get a really, really nice feel for what each jersey you want to look like, make it look that way. And then if you want to go with something that's a little bit more run down, that kind of shows that, okay, this is a school that probably doesn't get a lot of funding, or, you know, doesn't have a lot of money behind it. It's just, hey, we have a basketball team, and, you know, they play around. Like, for instance, I have Leslie Jean Charles, who would be one of the prospects from Montana. He was showcased a little bit in the senior week. I wanted to make him a big deal because he's actually recruited by Gonzaga, and that's where he's going. But nearby Gonzaga, I need, you know, a recruit from there. So I decided to go, all right, go with Montana. Kalispell, Montana is about 3 hours away from, or 3 or 4 hours away from where Gonzaga University is, and just kind of make him this recruit who's just in the middle of nowhere, played for a team that's not really known as a basketball team, but he is the tallest guy that they ever had there, a power forward who can pretty much do a little bit of everything, and that you'll learn a little bit more about during the series. And so yeah, but essentially all I did for their uniform was I made their team the Marksmen. I put the team name right on the front, and then it's the same for each color. So whether they're wearing their bright yellow uniforms or their forest green ones, all it says is just Marksman, and it has a very, very basic like linear stripe, like one stripe design going across it, and it's only the colors green and yellow. So it's a two-tone uniform. Nice and simple. And that'll do it for this episode of SportsCraft. I'm gonna actually post in the description below a link to the Operation Sports forum, where I'm actually going to constantly be posting about this draft class. It's not all going to be there right now, but I think I should have it done sometime later tonight. With a thread recapping everything. So if you want to follow along with that, go there, and I'll leave you some information on the recruits that will be a part of this series. I'll actually list a few. Tell me which one you want to see next in the episode 3 of what will be my NBA GM series. Till next time, Blackjack out.